time to go back to July. It's time to go back to WWE Great Balls of Fire. And check out how I would have done it different in booking this very uniquely named pay-per-view from over the summer. And also the last pay-per-view before SummerSlam in August. Or actually, the last Raw pay-per-view, I should say, because Battleground's at the end of the month. So, with that being the case, let's jump into Great Balls of Fire. With the pre-show underway, Mustafa Ali defeats Noam Dar in the pre-show match, with both of them bringing up the bottom of the barrel with a 27 for Mustafa and a 29 for Noam. And I just want to say this has nothing to do with their in-ring ability, and it has more to do with their popularity, which, to be fair, listen to their reactions when they come out on Raw. Their moves get more of a reaction than they do. There's no doubt that both these men have talent, but they just have to get over. So we'll see what happens. And speaking of people who aren't over, Emma and Alicia Fox, or at least Alicia Fox. And I know if there is an Emma fan that is actually watching this, and you say, "Oh, Emma lost to Alicia Fox." Well, fine then. Emma and Alicia Fox for the dark match, and Mustafa Ali and Noam Dar were on the pre-show. Why? Do people really care what matches are on the pre-show? Or kickoff show? No. Not particularly. They care more about the actual show, and the actual show sees Apollo Crews and Elias open Great Balls of Fire, with Apollo Crews getting the victory over Elias when Elias got intentionally disqualified. And yes, I did take this from Elias's feud with Finn Balor, as Elias fought Finn and got intentionally disqualified when the two of them locked horns a few weeks back. I think that is if Elias and Finn weren't feuding now, in which case, there we go. But I do think that Finn had started his feud with Bray Wyatt by now, so I may have just recycled a finish to a more fitting feud. But either way, Elias walks away the loser, but doesn't look like one, to allow Apollo to get the win, but Elias to keep the heat. Seth comes into Dean's locker room looking for advice on Dean's top rival, The Miz, and Dean just looks at Seth and says, "Watch your back. Have eyes in the back of your head, the front of your head, the side of your head. Have eyes all over the place, because you never know who might try and help him." That's all I can say. But the one thing I will also throw out there for that segment is, before I talk about this segment, is that Ambrose, you could feel the tension when because Ambrose starts off with, "What the heck do you want?" But you can feel the tension between the two of them. And now we move forward, as Seth gets introduced into the Dean Ambrose Miz story to give it a little bit of a mixture of a shot in the arm and the ability to continue and be different from what it was on SmackDown. Either way, we move to an interview segment now with Big Cass, who's standing by with Renee Young, and Cass talks about how he's felt like a weight has been lifted off his shoulders since he ridded himself of Enzo, and that he's gonna do the same for the WWE when he rids the WWE of the Enzo Amore problem. Oops, I was supposed to keep it going. I mean, I was supposed to do the turn. Oh well. Either way, this match, we move to the next match, and the next match ends in a draw after Seth Rollins after the Miz Taraj gets involved, and then Ambrose runs out to the ring and starts going after the Miz Taraj and the Miz, and the ref just tosses the match out and rules it a double disqualification. The reason why it says double count out is because the game picked it, not me, because I didn't realize that they would think all this interference would be done by a double count out and not a double disqualification. But either way, the match gets thrown out due to double disqualification, and this makes a lot more sense than when the match got thrown out via the double disqualification last year at SummerSlam. Either way, the fight continues, and Ambrose and Rollins fight off the Miz Taraj, and they're sent back up the stage but as they're retreating, Seth offers Dean a handshake, and Dean waves it off and leaves, and Seth just, you hear Seth say, come on, and Dean's, just looks back, and then just keeps walking, shaking his head, bringing us back to the tension that we felt earlier tonight when they were in Dean's locker room, and also showing there's more here. There's more meat on the bone. There's something there that we need to go towards and find out what else is going on between Seth and Ambrose. But first, we head to the peak, the blow-off between Cesaro and Sheamus and the Hardy Boys, the Iron Man match for the WWE Raw Tag Team titles, and the Bar get the victory over the Hardys. And yes, I do know that the Hardys have been booked somewhat weak in the last week, losing on both Raw and now at the pay-per-view, but I do have plans for the Hardys, don't you worry, and I'm going to get them back on track. But I just want to make a point to mention this, that in this match, much like at the pay-per-view, at the real one, we start seeing signs of Matt getting hit in the head a little bit more, including a spot where Sheamus runs Matt headfirst into the ring post, which allows the Bar to do a double team on Jeff to get their second pinfall. But either way, Matt and Jeff come up short, and we start seeing signs of Matt turning a little bit more, much like he did, turning broken in a similar way to he did in TNA. He's not turning. It's just planting the seeds. Just planting the seeds. And now we move to some time with the cruiserweights when Neville and Kalisto come face to face. Well, let me just set the scene. Angle comes out, calls out Neville, calls out Kalisto, and Neville and Kalisto trade words, go face to face of how Neville's carried this division, and Kalisto says, "You may have carried this division, but you've never faced me." And Neville brings up the point of, yeah, because you were too busy laying down on your back. But the next time you are laying down, you will either be in my rings of Saturn, or you'll be looking up at me coming down with a red arrow. Because there is no way you will beat me. And before Kalisto can respond to Neville, Arya Daivari makes his presence felt, comes out and says he wants revenge on Kalisto, calling Kalisto's win on Raw a fluke. And this brings out Rich Swann, and Swann just says, Angle just looks at Swann and says, "What the heck are you doing out here now?" It's like, I just hate him. I wanted to hear him I just wanted to hear him stop talking, so that's why I came out here. And then Angle looks around, and he says, "Tomorrow night on Raw, we will see Kalisto and Rich Swann go up against Neville and Arya Daivari. And Neville, if Kalisto gets the win over you, or Rich Swann, if their team wins, then the person who scored the pinfall will challenge you for the title next week on Raw." And Neville is pissed. He's fuming. But then Daivari looks at him and says, and Neville looks back and he says, "You know what, Kurt? What happens when we win? What happens when I win? Because that's what's going to happen." And then just Kalisto steps in front of Kurt and just faces off with Neville as the segment comes to a close. And now we move to some tag team action with Rhino and Slater in a rematch against Anderson and Gallows. Rhino and Anderson and Gallows. This match took place on Raw last week, but in the time since, Rhino offered a rematch to Anderson and Gallows, partially because they wanted a rematch, and partially I did this to get them both on the pay-per-view, because I felt like, number one, I needed some undercard matches, and number two, they deserve to be on the pay-per-view. So, there you go. Now we move to the interesting match. Okay. This is, it's a superb match, but I would put it towards Braun didn't get over an 80 in the ring, which I'm not surprised by. And second, Braun's stamina. Third, it couldn't go long because of Braun's stamina. And fourth, both of them suck at constructing a psychologically based match, which hampered the match. But either way, a solid match between these two guys as they tear down the house again, or beat each other's butts once again, and then the same thing happens after Roman is finally able to trap Braun in the... basically, they have the same ending. They rip each other apart piece by piece, and Braun is and following the match, Braun is forced to be helped out of the ambulance by the ambulance doors getting ripped open, and Braun is just staggering away from the ambulance without help, without anything, resisting medical attention, looking like a freaking monster, just like he did in real life. And now we move to the next match, which I'm somewhat proud of this finish, because I feel like it's something different, and that's Sasha does win, but Alexa gets herself intentionally counted out, and grabs a mic and cuts this promo. Well, of course, there's no... I chose the actual promo, I didn't choose. I didn't freestyle it, but what I wanted to say was this. Or what I would have Alexa say is this. she would look in the ring, look around, and say, "Yeah, come on. You know what, Sasha? I'm sick and tired of you and your little posse hogging the spotlight because I dealt with Becky on SmackDown, I dealt with Bayley when I first got here, and now you. I'm sick and tired of people like you occupying the spotlight. That's why I that's why I am walking out. Because the spotlight is going to be on me, not on you, Sasha. And there is nothing you can do about it. Because I'm walking out the champion. And with the spotlight. And Alexa just walks away, walks back smiling with a smirky smile on her face, and then we head to the back with Kurt Angle on his phone, and we can hear the audio on his phone, and him say, "Okay, Mr. McMahon." Which means Kurt is talking to Vince McMahon, and we hear Mr. McMahon say that he will be on Raw tomorrow night to make a very special announcement. Now you gotta wonder, number one, what announcement Vince is gonna make, and number two, how big is it? Because it has to be pretty big for Vince to come to Raw. And now we move to the next match as Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt meet for the very first time in their feud, and Bray gets the win. Yes, Bray gets the win. Bray gets the win because remember the promo. Remember the promo where Bray said that I had Bray do, where he said Finn Balor is a fake. Finn Balor is a phony. Finn Balor will turn his back on you just as quick as you embraced him. Finn Balor isn't the man he portrays. And this, Bray celebrates, and you can see him mouth, "I told you so, man. I told you so." Bray won one reason and one reason only. Bray won because it makes him seem right. It makes him seem like he was right. When he said Finn is a fake. How? Tune into Raw. You'll find out. Because that's the next leg of the feud. That's how we're going to get to SummerSlam. Now we move to Shattered Dreams Productions. And I know what you're going to say. Why is Truth and Goldust not facing each other at the pay-per-view instead of having Goldust have a segment? Well, number one, Goldust just turned. Number two, it's too soon. And number three, it's too soon. And that's why you see Shattered Dreams Productions come up on the screen, and I just let Goldust have this segment to portray his old self and be the bizarre one once again, and show that he still has what it takes to go ham on the microphone when he's in the director's chair. And now we move to the next segment with Big Cass and Enzo Amore finally coming one-on-one. And pretty handedly, Cass beats down Enzo and gets the win with the East River Crossing elbow. And Cass is officially on his way to becoming a heel. Or should I say an up-and-coming heel. As he rids himself of Enzo for now, and now is ready to move to the next leg of the race. But now we move to the main event. Brock, Samoa Joe. Paul Heyman, as always, makes his special introduction for the reigning, defending WWE Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. And Brock's match with Joe gets the same rating. 20 minutes, Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar, they do exactly what I want them to do on the first ever Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, and Brock closes still Universal Champion. What the fuck? Brock was visibly upset after the match due to Joe almost injuring him with a spot? Oh shit. That could be a problem. Thanks, Pat. I mean, an 80 overall rating, I'm happier with an 80 and not gaining anything than having a 69 and losing everything. Because with the build that we had last week, we had some rough shows, so I'm pretty happy with the final rating. Let me know down in the comment section below if you think this show should have been better, as I show you some of the segments that didn't have the correct caption when we were in the thing because of programming or whatever. But let me know in the comment section below if you think this show did as good as it should have or should have done better, and let me know what you think of the booking so far in this series, because as always, feedback is more than welcomed and appreciated. But if you don't want to leave a comment, you can always leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and ding dong that notification bell to never miss a video right here at Wrestling Express. Till next time, later.